Moving on now to our other big focus on the buck stops here tonight. It's the General's War. That's right, we're talking about General VK Singh, who's taken the government to court. And in the last few days, if anyone hoped that there could be a compromise out of court, well, those hopes were belied. Instead, you've had the government and the Defence Ministry basically asking the army to reconcile the discrepancies in General VK Singh's birth date records. This seems to be a controversy that's all set to get even worse.
It is not something for personal gains, so far as I'm concerned.
There is something called rules. Sometimes rules are unfair, sometimes rules don't work to our best advantage.
It was an issue concerning my integrity, and that is where I've put it.
General VK Singh says it's about his honour. His critics say he's putting self before service. Either way, this has got to hurt the institution of the army. As the battle lines get drawn on both sides, fiercer and fiercer in some ways, we're asking today whether there's still any chance of an honourable exit, an honourable ceasefire for both sides as we lead up to the day when the matter will come up in the Supreme Court at the end of this week. Let's get started with our panel this evening. Joining us tonight from Mumbai, we have Admiral Vishnu Bhagwat. He's somebody who's been in the hot seat, dismissed by the NDA government, also went to court, did not win his case, knows a thing or two about locking horns with a civilian government. Also joining us from Delhi tonight, Lieutenant General Shankar Prasad. He's, of course, been the former Director General of Infantry with the Army. With me in the studio, Ajay Shukla. He's been a colonel with the Indian Army and now, of course, is a well-known commentator. And also joining me in the studio, Indu Liberhan. She has been a former secretary with the Defence Ministry. All right, Ajay, if I can start with you. One of the principal arguments that you've been making in your writings is that there is something wrong with making an approach to this debate completely age-centric. That this should be about the merit and the credentials, other credentials of an army chief, rather than about his age. The counter-argument to that has been, but rules are rules. And the army, in the end, is an institution that is all about discipline. So is there a contradiction here in the position that General Singh has taken as the chief of what should be India's most disciplined institution?
No, I don't think there's a contradiction at all. I think that he's following a laid-down procedure. It just so happens that that procedure has now run afoul of what is seen as a relationship between the government and the army chief, and therefore allegations are flying thick and fast of people overstepping bounds of propriety and so on. But let's remember, he's following a laid down procedure for redress. He believes that he's been unfairly treated. I have to say, I don't believe this story about honor and so on. This is resentment. When a man is set to be an army commander or a chief, if his boss turns around and tells him, you sign on this dotted line and give this commitment, otherwise I won't promote you. You can imagine the kind of bubbling resentment that creates.
I find it interesting that you're saying you don't think it's about honor, you think it's about resentment, but for you that doesn't make it any less of a legitimate fight.
I don't think it's less of a legitimate fight. In fact, I see this in a much larger context of relations between the civilian hierarchy and the military.
Yeah.
It's a severely disbalanced relationship. It's a relationship where the civilian hierarchy believes that it can arm twist the army into doing anything it wants. And in this case, it has just happened to run afoul of somebody who said, I'll take a stand here and I won't get arm twisted the way that you've arm twisted my predecessors, the way that you arm twist other generals. Just look, Barkha, at what the government has done yesterday. Yeah. They have written directly to a branch of the army, which actually comes under the chief.
To the Adjutant General's office.
The Adjutant General's office bypassed the chief and written to one of his branches asking them to take a certain action.
While the case is in court.
While the case is in court.
Yeah.
This is, in Hindi, this is called dadagiri.
NDTV's cricket app, Android and iPhone. Fastest scorecard, special analysis, and much more. Download free. ndtv.com/apps.